What if the World Cup, the biggest sporting event on the planet, is quietly making your life more expensive without you even realizing it? Not because of anything dramatic, just because millions of people showed up to watch football at the same time, in the same places, and the entire economic machine responded accordingly. Today, we are going to talk about something most people never think about when they watch a World Cup match: the money. Not the prize money, not the player salaries, the money that moves through the global economy every time this tournament happens, where it goes, who captures it, and what it means for ordinary people who are not playing, not owning a team, and not running a major sponsor. Because the World Cup is not just football. It has not been just football for a very long time. It is one of the largest economic events on the planet. Let us start with the most immediate and most personal effect: prices. When a country hosts the World Cup, millions of people arrive in a very short period of time. Millions of people who all need somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, and a way to get around. This creates a surge in demand that the local economy is not designed to handle in normal circumstances. And when demand surges dramatically in a short period, prices respond. Hotel prices in World Cup host cities have increased by anywhere between 200 and 1,000% compared to normal periods. A hotel room that costs $100 on a regular Tuesday becomes $800 or $1,200 during the tournament. Flights into host cities follow the same pattern. Restaurants increase prices. Transport services increase prices. Even basic goods near stadiums tend to cost more. For international visitors who plan this trip over months, these prices are expected. But for the people who actually live in host cities, for residents who still need to buy groceries, get to work, and live their daily lives, the price increases are simply higher costs with no corresponding benefit. This is one of the least discussed consequences of hosting a major sporting event. Residents experience the costs without experiencing the benefits. Now let us talk about who is actually capturing the financial value of the World Cup. FIFA is the primary beneficiary. The organization controls the commercial rights to the tournament entirely. Media rights worth billions of dollars. Sponsorship packages from major international companies. Ticketing revenue. Hospitality packages. Licensing fees. For the 2026 World Cup, FIFA's projected revenues amount to approximately $13 billion. $13 billion, flowing primarily from the broadcast rights paid by television networks worldwide, and from sponsorship fees paid by companies like Adidas, Coca-Cola, Visa, and others. The host nations and host cities receive none of this commercial revenue. They receive tourism activity, which is real but consistently lower than pre-tournament projections. And they bear the infrastructure costs. Let us talk about those costs, because they are the part of the World Cup economy that most clearly affects ordinary citizens. Hosting the World Cup requires infrastructure: stadiums, transport links, security systems, communication infrastructure, medical facilities. Governments pay for all of this, and the source of all government money is ultimately the same, which is taxpayers, which is ordinary people. The infrastructure investments are frequently described in terms of their legacy value. The argument is that stadiums and transport improvements built for the tournament will benefit local populations for decades after the event ends. This argument is sometimes true and sometimes very obviously not true. The Arena Amazonia, built in Manaus in Brazil for the 2014 World Cup at a cost of approximately $300 million, is located in a city with limited professional football activity. The stadium has capacity for over 40,000 people. Average attendance at local matches after the World Cup has been a fraction of that. $300 million of infrastructure that ordinary Brazilian taxpayers contributed to building, now largely sitting empty. This pattern has been documented across multiple host countries. Large infrastructure investment for a short-term event, followed by underused facilities, and economic returns significantly lower than the official projections. Now let us talk about the psychological economy of the World Cup, because this is the part that most directly affects your wallet. Major sporting events create sustained emotional engagement over extended periods. People follow the tournament daily for weeks. They watch with friends and family. They invest emotionally in the outcomes. This emotional engagement correlates with increased spending across multiple categories. Food and drink spending increases. Merchandise purchases increase. Streaming subscriptions increase. And betting activity increases significantly. Gambling companies invest heavily in advertising during major sporting events specifically because emotional engagement increases the probability that people will place bets. For most people, this means spending a small amount on something entertaining. For a meaningful minority, it means engaging with a product specifically designed to generate financial loss for the user. The World Cup creates conditions where impulsive financial decisions are more likely than they would be in normal circumstances. Sustained emotional engagement, social pressure around participation, and constant commercial messaging are a combination that affects spending behavior in ways that most people do not consciously notice. So what does all of this mean for you personally? The World Cup economy operates at multiple levels simultaneously. At the macro level, it generates billions that flow primarily to FIFA and its commercial partners. At the national level, it generates infrastructure spending from taxpayer funds with returns that are frequently less than projected. At the local level, it produces price increases that affect residents of host areas. At the individual level, it creates conditions that make increased and unconsidered spending more likely. Being aware of these dynamics does not require you to stop enjoying the football. The matches are real. The performances are remarkable. But understanding the economic machinery that surrounds the tournament, knowing who captures the financial value, and how ordinary people tend to end up on the paying rather than the receiving end of that equation, is genuinely useful information. The World Cup happens every 4 years. The economic patterns repeat reliably each time. Knowing the patterns helps you navigate them more deliberately. The stickman watching the football on his sofa is having a great time. The stickman who also understands the economics of what he is watching is having a great time and losing slightly less money in the process. Quick reminder, everything in this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. See you in the next one.